Cusack. I'm an artist and my medium is fabric. I do applique artwork that's mainly commissioned as illustration for magazines, ads, children's books, posters, all sorts of things, portraits. So this project for Guideposts for the July issue 2010 began with an image that I got a phone call from the Guidepost creative director, Audrey, and she sent me this image of that she had in mind to just basically talk about that she wanted it to be a stitched quilted image so that she could show this to the other people in the Guidepost to convince them that this was a good way to go. So I took that and started doing some other sketches to show them different themes that I thought might be interesting that related to quilts and stitchery. And one of them involved lettering that was very bold and very folk art looking. The creative director, Audrey, felt that this was an interesting way to go, and so I did some variations on this theme, one with little faces all around, and then others where I use icons, hot dogs, Statue of Liberty, cornucopia, apple pie, Liberty Bell, that sort of thing. And so we kept going back and forth and talking about it, and she thought it would be interesting to use that very folk art kind of type. So the sketch I ended up transferring to acetate so that I could then trace the shapes onto fabric and cut them out and put them on the main art. And I did a color version with colored pencil, like sort of a map of how I wanted to go, with how I wanted to approach this. And so I used yellow and blue and red because very American kind of bright, bold colors. Here's the final version with all little sticky pieces of tape on it to show me my guide. And I actually enlarged it so that I would then be able to, even though the magazine is only about this big, I enlarged it so that I would be able to cut out these little shapes. So that's called a zigzag stitch, and I can vary it by getting smaller or larger or tighter. So you can see that I can get it tighter or looser or whatever I have in mind to do. When I was working on the Guidepost project, I wanted to do an experiment to find out if I wanted to use any padding at all or more padding. So in this case I just did a scrap piece of fabric and used the same background fabric that I have for the Guidepost cover. And here I used just one layer, and here I used 2 layers of felt, so they're layered under there. So I decided that 2 would be better than just 1, and since the 1 was rather minimal, having no padding would, I think, not give the effect I had in mind. So I decided to use 2. So you can see that it sort of casts a little bit of a shadow when it's lit, and I think that will help the cover look a little more real. So here's the actual piece that I created. Some of it is stitched. This needs some red stitching here. The lettering here will be stitched, and then have what's called a blanket stitch, which is a straight stitch with a little up stitch. And so all of this will have a very, very quilted effect once it's done. And it has a dimensional aspect to it. My next step is to finish up a few little items and then stitch everything down and then stretch it on what's called canvas stretchers, which are, if I were a person who did oil painting, I would be using canvas stretcher, and that's how it will be presented, photographed and then presented.